I'm Legend, I play this game professionally, so I can probably hit rank 1. So next up, we're against a Priest, and against Priest, I love keeping Symphony of Sins just to maybe disrupt them some way with the burn cards, and I love Forge of Wills because if I can bait out some of their early removal like Light It Burns, and Cannibalize, then maybe if I summon Thaddius a little bit later, things can go crazy. So I love having the Forge of Wills right away in case I get the 7/7. So this turn I play Forge of Wills, pretty simple stuff. They played an Armor Vendor last turn. Again, none of this stuff is particularly threatening, but they've gotten copies of cards. And at this point I didn't realize they got a copy of Astalor, but I end up coining out the Slime here. And you're probably thinking, what are you doing? They could run Silence. But this matchup is, I think, the second worst matchup for Warlock, according to HS Replay. The only one that's worse is Mech Rogue because they can snowball so fast. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, the only way I'm winning this matchup is if I high roll, right? If they don't have Silence and I'm able to somehow disrupt them. We get the burn 6 cards, so I'm thinking maybe we can burn a Silence card here, and if we do, it'll be fantastic. We want the 5/3 to die, so we don't want to give it extra stats, and we don't want to summon a taunt minion to protect it. So I'd rather just burn their cards and see what happens. But yeah, at this point, we still want the 5/3 to die. We're hoping they don't have Silence, because again, the only way we can win this game is if we high roll. Then they get holy freaking Mackie roll and draw like 4 cards off of the Clergy. Actually, insane synergy. That was pretty incredible, I'm not gonna lie. Like, when I was watching it, I freaked out, but in like a kind of respectful, cool way. And at this point, I'm thinking Reverberations on the 5/3 because I need to make sure that it dies and I can summon a minion right away. Then we make a copy of the 6/6 with Rush to kill up a 2/2, and we're able to do some damage. Now, at this point, I'm thinking I'm probably gonna lose. They have Love Everlasting. They're gonna play like Whirlpool or something here, or Dissonant Pop to wipe my board, and things do not look good. How am I possibly gonna turn this around? Well, what if I play another Slime? What if I try to cheat out Thaddius, build a massive board out of nowhere, and use the Movement of Greed to draw enough cards to possibly win me the game? At this point, that is my win condition. The Movement of Greed doing something insane. They play Dirty Rat, and thank God they pull out Tour Guide. If they pulled out the Infantry Reanimator, I do think that I probably would have lost the game. We draw 6 cards right away to see if we can get anything important. And we get a 7/7, which I think is pretty good. A 7/7 taunt will help play around some stuff. But I think Drain Souling and healing up first and removing the board is actually better here. I don't think that it's actually a bad play. In fact, it's pretty good. Looking back, I think the 7/7 would have been worse because this way I was able to kill off all the minions. And they play the weapon. It's got poisonous and they kill off my minion and immediately hit into Thaddius. Voice is going a little bit there. But they cannibalize Thaddius, actually. And at this point, I'm like, oh no.
We're not done with you yet.
But then we hit Thaddius like a god using the Infantry Reanimator, and I'm like, okay, the world is our oyster. We have an 11/11. We can play another Forge and get another 11/11, and basically just force them to have removal. If they do not have sick removal, I'm going to win the game, if they don't have Whirlpool. I play Movement of Desire, I think, to deal 6 and heal 6 because I don't really want to summon any more minions at this point, because if they do have Whirlpool, things get very difficult very quickly. And then I play Tour Guide just to get an extra thing on the board. Like, it's not a big deal. I don't think that it actually matters, but I wanted to play the Tour Guide to empty out my hand so I can draw stuff. Then we're getting rid of the Infantry Reanimator, and I get another Thaddius, and then they hit it with their face. And at this point, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, they're at 18 HP. Can I possibly win the game? I live tap and get Movement of Pride and hope for Sargeras! Oh, and thank goodness. It was either going to be that or Flesh Behemoth, but we get Sargeras. We make all of the minions get taunt just because I'm pretty sure that's better. The main reason is because if I don't give them taunt, he's just going to use his poisonous weapon to kill off my 6/12. But since I have 2 taunt minions, it does give me at least a little bit of protection, which is very, very good. And they're low. They have to hit into my minion. Shadow Word Ruin kills off Sargeras anyway. Then they gain some armor and kill off my 3/4. At this point, I'm a little bit worried, like I've already said. Things don't look great for me right now. They've got 22 HP, a good weapon, and I don't really have that many resources. But I killed a minion. I get infinite value out of the out of the portal, and I summon a 6/6 reborn minion, which is pretty good. Again, like a pro, drawing at the end of my turn, which is objectively wrong, but usually I'm not sure I'm gonna do it. And I think I shouldn't be doing it at this point because of fatigue, but I do it anyway, which I, again, think is actually a misplay to even be life tapping in the first place, but it's okay. We end up drawing the 6-drop Loken, and I don't know what I want exactly. I take the Speaker Stomper because I'm like, okay, what I need to do is immediately be able to disrupt them, right? I need to make sure that they can't play a spell to disrupt this board, and hopefully these minions are able to win the game. I've got a movement that does 6 damage to everything, and then they Light Bomb. But they don't kill my 3/1. I give it +6, I hit him in the face, and I have 6 damage with the other movement, and I barely killed him. That was an absolutely insane game. So once again, we are against a Hunter. It's like the most popular deck in the game right now with the highest win rate. But luckily, this deck perfectly counters Hunter, which we've already covered. 2 Defileds, very, very good against Hunter because they are able to develop quite wide boards sometimes. If they summon a bunch of 4/1s, guess what? They're all dead, okay? And we have the 4-mana 7/7 Taunt again, which is fantastic. You basically want a hard mulligan for things like that. The Forge of Wills, Defile, early removal. Into this matchup, I feel like the Slime is a little bit less important. It's still very good. It's still fantastic. They get Hidden Meaning, which is fine. It's a pretty low roll, which is good for me. But the Slime is still fantastic, but getting out that 7/7 and then getting another 7/7 with Rush, especially on turn 3 and then 4, is insane a lot of the time. They don't end up hitting into my 7/7, which I think is a misplay because it allows my Forge to still be strong. I see if it's bait and switch. It's not bait and switch, and I'm thinking, do I want to activate Hidden Meaning? I say yeah, I don't really care. I've got a 7/7 Taunt minion. What are they going to do? They're going to have to run into the 7/7 Taunt minion anyway, which is fine. Then they play King freaking Mukla for some reason, which kind of blows my mind, and I lose a pretty decent removal spell. And at this point, I'm trying to think about what I want to do exactly here, because my hand is not good. But I play the movement, and I take, I think, 6/6 Reborn, and I just hit King Mukla. It's not great. I use one of the bananas to pump up the Reborn minion just to make it a little bit harder to kill. It's not a big deal, but it's something. It forces them to use a couple more bananas. They end up playing Agrimar though, which is not good. They kill it off, and then they kill it off with their 1/3. But I draw a Slime with no minions. So I life tap and hope for the best, and people are telling me at this point to use Reverberations on the 3/7 and rush into the 3/7. But in my eyes, I absolutely do not want to do that because I need to save Reverberations for the Hollow Hound. So instead, I play the 5-mana 4/4, the Infantry Reanimator, not to summon anything, but for fucking tempo. Tempo! Oh my god, it hurt my soul to do that, but I did it. Also, if I reverberate their 3/7, like, I don't get to use their ability. Like, I don't get to use it. It's not great. And then, because I'm tilted, I misplay here. What I'm supposed to do here is play the banana on the Hydrolodon. But at this point, I'm pretty demoralized and thinking I'm already gonna lose, and the 3/4 ends up living barely, and I'm forced to use Mortal Eradication to kill it and heal up a little bit, which is not good. But luckily I draw Sir Finley, which at least like makes up for it a little bit. Again, drawing at the end of the turn is never correct. But just for some reference, I had just lost 2 games in a row that were really, really close, and I was kind of not in the best headspace at this point in time. Probably should have taken a break. Just if you're watching right now, take a break. If you are in a bad situation, like if you've lost a couple games in a row and you feel bad, just take a break. It's fine. You can always come back to it. I mean, I couldn't because I was streaming, I guess, but I definitely could have taken a break. This turn, I play Loken, trying to find Thaddius or a big taunt minion. I get offered literally the smallest minions in my deck. Infantry Reanimator is at least maybe okay. Then I play the Audio Bot. I'm forced to give that 4/4 rush and kill off the Stereo Stomper, just because like I can't allow them to have extra minions on the board, and I'm not super optimistic at this point, but I'm still alive. I can play Sargeras next turn or something, so I'm at least feeling okay because I can use Sargeras to wipe the board completely here. Movement of Pride is very good though. I don't remember what turn it is specifically, so I can't use it for Thaddius because if it wasn't the odd turn, then I wouldn't be able to also play Sargeras, and that would have been a disaster. So I just wipe the board here and hope they don't have King Crush plus some extra damage. They play Faithful Companions. I think it's King Crush, but it's not! And literally when that happens, boom, I focus. I go into focus mode. I put my hand on my head and I start thinking. I'm like, wait a minute, holy crap, the game is actually winnable. Yeah, they do some cleave damage to my face, but that's negligible. That does not matter. I can win this game all of a sudden. I'm very pumped up. I'm focused. I went from tilted to, wait a minute, this is winnable. So at this point, I have a couple of different choices. I feel like I really need to heal. I know I'm going to use Sargeras to make my minions have taunt. I do that because that just has to happen. I'm trying to think, how do I kill that 5/3? I could play Darkon and then play Forge. I could play a couple of movements and try to draw Thaddius, but again, I don't remember what turn it is. If I could say 100% for certain that Thaddius would be odd right now, I would have played Thaddius. I would have drawn Thaddius, played it, and then played Drakon, the Flesh Behemoth, and probably a movement. But I couldn't say that for sure. So instead, I play a 7/7 taunt for some extra taunts on the board. And I just play for the board at this point. Like, I'm just trying to build up as big of a board as I can to be a nuisance, and then hopefully I'm able to draw and do stuff later on. They play Bananas, and at this point I'm thinking, oh my god, are they going to try to cleave me or something? What's exactly happening? They kill Sargeras, which is unfortunate. I really wanted to summon some big 6/8 taunts with him, but it's not that big of a deal. And at this point I'm just thinking, okay, a lot of things win me the game here. Defile, the Movement of Wrath. That's about it. 2 things. I need 2 specific cards at this point, and this is really bad because I had to waste the Mortal Eradication earlier because of my misplay, so it comes back to bite me in the butt a little bit. We get Thaddius, and at this point, I see that, is he odd or even? I actually didn't see that, but we'll see in just a moment. He's odd, which is great, which means we're able to play Drathyr this turn, which is phenomenal. And I'm thinking, do I want to play the Flesh Behemoth or just get 2, 3, 4 taunts? The 4/8 taunt is bigger, and because bigger is better, I'm pretty sure that it's worth playing that because they have so many things on the board right now. Then I burn some cards at the end of their turn, and I hit Lorthmar and Hydrolodon, which are huge. But yeah, luckily Thaddius was odd. If I had tried to draw him last turn, it wouldn't have been enough. They play King Crush to pump up their minions some more, and at this point I'm thinking, okay, he's probably got the 8-mana spell in his hand, right? He's probably going to resummon a bunch of minions like the Hydrolodon, King Mukla, Hollow Hound, and King Crush, and that's why he's playing King Crush right here. But also, he can't quite get over all of my minions and actually do any damage to me. Like, yeah, he can hit me in the face with his 9/2, but he doesn't. He chooses to kill Drathyr, which I think is a little bit weird. And then we draw Movement of Greed, which is phenomenal. Then we get Wrath, which is able to do a ton of damage to all of the minions, and I'm thinking that's correct. I could maybe try to draw for Defile, but I don't think it's correct. I think it's just better to play that. Wait, what? Oh no, I remember what I do here. I forgot I had the Forge of Will, so I'm able to just rush into a minion. I play Tour Guide. I used the spell to kill the 9/2 because I'd rather save Movement of Wrath for if they summon a big board. I'm saving Movement of Wrath for when they play the big 8-mana spell in case they have it, because if they play it, I'm fucked. And they have it, so that's great, I guess. Luckily for me, Hydrolodon doesn't actually have Rush, it's just the battle cry that gives the heads Rush. So I'm actually able to tank a decent amount of damage here, and the Hollow Hounds won't actually be able to kill Drathyr. They're not actually able to kill Drathyr at this point because it's got Reborn. I mean, there are ways where they could possibly do it, but I mean, oh no, because I expected them to go face with King Crush, but instead they full trade. And they full trade and leave themselves open to the Movement of Wrath. But then I realized, wait a minute, no, this is just, I could just defile this. This is just defileable, perfect. It allows me to save a theoretically even better card and not have to do damage to myself. And now with their biggest play out of the game at this point, so they've lost King Crush, they've lost Stranglethorn, Heart, they've lost Lorthmar, and they've used all of their big minions. I'm thinking this should be game, but I'm not sure. They can still hero power, they still have some decent tempo plays. Maybe it's still winnable for them. But at this point, I'm thinking it's probably not. But they pump everything up 1 HP, so I can't kill it with my little Tour Guide, which is a bit unfortunate, but it's fine. We kill off the 2/1. And this is a game where I'm not supposed... don't attack first. It could be explosive. Okay, I attack with my little tour guide first to hit the 2-1. It does end up being explosive, which is fine. And yeah, at this point, I probably shouldn't be life tapping, but I think I do, which is a misplay because I'm so close to fatigue. I might as well just like let myself naturally draw cards. I pump up minions and I play the 10-10 to make it harder for them to play spells next turn. And I've got 14 damage on board. I kill off one of their minions. I pump up my slime to do as much damage as humanly possible. And then I use my removal to... I don't use my removal. I was thinking about it, but then I decided not to in case they play another Hollow Hound, just in case I need to kill something without actually attacking it. So at this point, I feel okay. They play Hope of Keltalos, which is not great, but they're at 17 HP, and unless they can kill my 12-8, I win. And even if they kill my 12-8, I'm pretty sure it summons a Flesh Behemoth, which is very bad for them. So regardless of what they do, even if they're able to kill off the 10-10, they still lose. Even if that's Freezing Trap, they still lose because I hit with my 10, then my 12. But if the Freezing Trap had hit my 10, I could have just played Movement of Wrath, which is 6 plus 12, which is 18, which is lethal. And once again, we are against a Hunter. Oh my gosh, it's almost like it's the best deck in the game right now. But yeah, it's a good matchup for this deck, which is why I climbed a decent amount with it. They played the Costume Singer turn 1. I can't respond to it right away. And at this point, I have to think, do I want to Drain Soul at turn 2? Or let it happen and then play the Mortal Eradication turn 3? And because they end up playing Barrel of Monkeys, I don't think Eradication is the best call, because that could soak up a ton of damage, so I just Drain Soul it so that way they can't draw any more cards. We have 2 4-mana 7/7 taunts, again, which is fantastic, which means I can just coin one out. What is he gonna do? Even if it was bees, what's he gonna do? Then he gets a 2/4 that draws a card when he plays a 1, then a 2, then a 3-mana card, so on and so forth. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, he has at least 2 secrets in hand. If he has a 1-mana card, he's gonna draw 2 cards, maybe more, and I probably lose the game. Chat was saying I overreacted by saying I probably lose the game, but I strongly disagree. Because one of the biggest issues in Hunter is literally card draw. You just kind of run out of steam sometimes. We play the Speaker Stomper because I want a minion on board to like actually hit into things, even though the 4-mana 7/7 feels better. But I also wanted to make sure if he drew like bananas or something, or Tremor, it wouldn't cost 1. But anyway, the reason why it's so important is because if he had draw, like, spoiler alert, we're gonna get a little later into the game, and he's gonna have like 2 cards in hand. And if he had 2 or 3 more cards in his hand, they might have been able to win the game. But anyway, at this point I'm thinking like, okay, what am I supposed to do here? It's bait and switch. This is a disaster. I already knew it would be bait and switch. And I'm thinking, do I play the 4 or do I pray for 6 damage to all minions? We get 6 damage to all minions, thank goodness. And because of that 50-50 chance, I think we end up winning the game. Actually, it's slightly less than a 50-50 chance, but still happy that I got it, okay? They play Vicious Slither Spear along with a Costume Singer, and then a Secret. And at this point, I'm thinking, you know what? I could play the Immortal Eradication. To be fair, they played another 1/4, which kind of ruined that plan, but I can go Defile if I want to. Wait. Why would I do that? Oh, no, yeah, Defile into, Mortal Eradication, or in this case, Drain Soul Mortal Eradication, because Drain Soul is a much more valuable card later on. Point is, I was trying to set up removal with Defile and Mortal Eradication for 5 mana, which is why I used the Tour Guide to draw a card for 1 mana. And now at this point, look at their hand. They have 2 cards in their hand, 1 card on the board, and I'm about to play a 4-mana 7/7 taunt and pump it up, because why the heck not? If I end up drawing, they get a 5/5, which is kind of unlucky, but if I end up drawing Forge of Wills, and I'm able to get a 13/13 rush minion, the game is just over. And then they play the 6/2 bow, and they have to literally slap the 13/13 in the face, and pump up their 6/6 with 2 bananas. That is 13 damage to the dome. For what? We end up drawing Greed as well, which is like the perfect card to draw here. Deal 6, heal 6, I think is better? No. We can get... No, we already have Thaddius in our hand. If we didn't have Thaddius, I think the other card's better. The one that, the one of Pride, the one that would draw me Thaddius for 4 mana. But since I already had Thaddius in my hand, it was not really worth it. I'd rather deal 6, heal 6 to make sure that I don't die. Then they hit me in the face, play a banana on their 1/1, and they play right into Defile. Kind of unfortunate for them, honestly. I play Defile, I play the Movement of Pride, I get a Flesh Behemoth that I'm able to just play to protect me against their weapon, and there's not really much they can do. Also, they lost one charge of their 6/2 weapon because the Stag came in when it still had 1 durability left, which was pretty big for me as well. And at the end of the Warlock stream, I end rank 282 legend. So far, over the past like 6 days, I've climbed from 1,100 to top 300, and we are moving. But for how long?